ADHD and binge eating. This is something that a lot of people with ADHD, a lot of neurodivergent people struggle with, binge eating, and I really find it's not talked about enough. And I think it is so important to talk about a lot of the aspects that can be contributing to binge eating with ADHD for multiple reasons. One of the biggest ones is because there is so much shame and guilt associated with binge eating. There's just not a lot of discussion around a lot of the things that are contributing to it. And as a nutritionist and intuitive eating counselor with ADHD, I have worked with multiple people who struggle with this and feel really out of control around food. I myself have had multiple periods in my life where I've also felt really out of control around food and have been using food as a coping mechanism just for stuff going on in my life through binge eating. In this video, I'm only going to be talking about a few aspects that contribute to binge eating that are really common in ADHD. I'm not going to get to all of them. I'm going to be coming at it from a metabolism point of view. One pattern that is pretty common in folks with ADHD. If you're doing this, it's probably making your binge eating patterns a lot worse and a lot harder to control. And I'll also be coming at it from an intuitive eating point of view as well. I really do want to emphasize that binge eating is a really complex issue that a lot of people struggle with. And this video is by no means going to address all of the things contributing to it. We're just going to be focusing on two things that are probably making it a lot worse, but really just remembering that this isn't it. I'm not saying this is why you're binge eating. I'm saying that this is a pattern that is very common in folks with ADHD. And if you are doing these things, it's probably making it a lot harder to interrupt that pattern of binge eating. So I don't think I introduced myself. Hi, I'm Liv. I'm a nutritionist and intuitive eating counselor with ADHD, and I work with people with ADHD. So I'm going to start off by talking about the binge restrict cycle or restrict binge cycle. This is a pattern that I see a lot of folks with ADHD struggling with, that I've definitely struggled with. People with ADHD will often have a harder time recognizing hunger signals and may experience those differently than neurotypical folks, than what we've been told hunger signals are supposed to feel like. We often will go a really long time without eating. Other factors that can contribute to this could be just being in a state of hyperfocus, so hyperfocused on what you're doing, or just being chronically overwhelmed and only being able to focus on the tasks you have to do that day. Eating just doesn't really register a lot. Stimulant medications can also really contribute to this pattern of going way too long without eating because they can act as appetite suppressants. Basically, if you go the whole day or several hours without eating, this is going to impact your blood sugar levels, because when you don't eat, you are reducing the amount of fuel that your body needs to function. So when we eat our food, mostly carbohydrates, but our food is turned into glucose, which is the particle that gives our cells energy. For the most part, I would recommend eating every 2 to 3 hours. We keep our blood sugar levels stable. When we go way too long without eating, our blood sugar levels drop. This is one of the reasons why binge eating is more common at the end of the day or at night, when your blood sugar levels have been low for so long and you finally tune into the fact that you're hungry, maybe even ravenous at this point. It's going to be a lot harder to control what you're eating, the amount you're eating, and to be able to eat in a way that makes you and your body feel good if you're coming from such a deficit because you haven't eaten since 8 a.m. that morning or 11 a.m. that morning and it's 8 p.m. Since your body is in such an energetic deficit, that makes it a lot harder to control how much you're eating and what you're eating, because your body wants to restore that energetic deficit through eating as fast as it can, because it doesn't know the next time it's going to get food, especially if you do this pattern quite often, which a lot of people with ADHD do. Carbohydrates and foods that are higher in sugar, your body is going to be able to turn that into energy that it can use much faster than foods higher in protein and fiber. So that is going to add to the urge to eat foods that are higher in sugar and carbohydrates. That's often why when we binge eat, we do it on foods that are less nutrient dense, because your body turns those into energy much faster. But the problem with this is that when we eat foods that are really high in carbs and sugar without the other micronutrients like protein and fiber, our blood sugar levels rise and spike really quickly. But because it is just with mostly sugar and carbs, macronutrients that get used up really quickly, it then drops. So that is one of the reasons why we feel so bad after binge eating, because we've overeaten beyond the capacity of what we typically would want to be eating, and we're just physically uncomfortable, but also because our blood sugar levels spike and then that energy is used up so fast and then they drop again. So that is why whenever we can, we want to be eating foods that have things like protein, fiber, fat, and carbs, because all of those elements allow your body to use the energy from that food at a much more sustained, slower rate than it would if you were to just have foods that are a bit higher in carbs and sugar on their own. The way to interrupt this, doing what you can to interrupt the pattern of going the whole day without eating, I would recommend checking out my last video on the 3 levels of food access with ADHD, because that kind of gives you a really basic structure for how to interrupt this pattern of going the whole day without eating by just improving your food access. So categorizing what you're eating into 3 levels based on how easy they are basically to eat and eat more regularly. Ultimately, we just really want to move away from the pattern of going the whole day without eating or going several hours without eating, even if it's something small, but just keeping our blood sugar levels at that baseline and really moving away from the pattern of letting our blood sugar levels drop for several hours. The more you eat regularly, the easier it'll get. It does take time. I'm not saying it's an easy process at all, but this really is an essential step for moving away from the pattern of binge eating. Another thing that will help interrupt the pattern of going the whole day without eating, of getting out of that restrict binge cycle, is improving your interoceptive awareness. This is really key to intuitive eating. The term interoceptive awareness, it basically just refers to your ability to recognize the signals that your body sends to your brain about what it needs, and then with intuitive eating, being able to respond to those with foods that are going to make you feel good, support your energy levels, help your symptoms, that kind of thing. And that is the intuitive part of intuitive eating. It's being able to recognize what your body needs and then responding to it. So people with ADHD often have a lot less interoceptive awareness than neurotypical people. Going back to what I was talking about at the beginning, this is one reason why we may have a harder time recognizing hunger signals. Another example, if you've ever been really hyper-focused on something and then it's been several hours and you realize you really have to pee, but you've just been so hyper-focused on that you weren't even tuned into the signals your body is sending you. Same thing, maybe you've been hyper-focused on something and all of a sudden you realize you're freezing and you just hadn't tuned into that, so you need to go get a sweater. There are a lot more examples, but basically improving the ability to recognize what your body needs and then being able to respond to it is really essential for improving your ability to eat throughout the day and keep your blood sugar levels at that balanced baseline, moving away from the pattern of going the whole day without eating and then that contributing to your binge eating at night. Because when you're able to recognize what your body needs and how your body is sending you hunger signals, it becomes a lot easier to respond to those. Because if you're neurodivergent, then you may not be receiving hunger signals the traditional way that we've been taught hunger signals feel like. We probably grew up thinking that hunger signals feel like a rumbling in the stomach. But if you're on stimulant medication, or even if you're not, if you're neurodivergent, you may not experience that. Your body may be telling you that you need to eat through things like increased brain fog or a sudden dip in mood, energy levels, thinking about food. There are so many ways that your body is telling you that it needs fuel and that you need to eat. And relearning these and then starting to pay attention to how they're showing up in your body so you can respond to that with food is, again, really essential for so many things, but especially in the context of binge eating, especially the restrict binge cycle, the pattern of going several hours without eating, then your body trying to compensate for that through binge eating. Anyways, these are just 2 aspects that can really be contributing to binge eating with ADHD. The restrict binge cycle, which can be intentional or non-intentional. A lot of people don't even know they haven't eaten for the whole day until the whole day has gone by. And it can also really, unfortunately, be intentional too, because of just how powerful diet culture is. There's been such a resurgence of diet culture over the past few months, especially past year and a bit, definitely. The emphasis on the thin body being the ideal body, the beauty standard, that can obviously really contribute to this idea that in order to achieve the ideal body, you need to eat less, restrict. Not only is that just scientifically not how metabolism and weight loss works, it's a lot more complicated than that. And there's a lot more factors. And it's just really bad for your body to not eat. But yeah, really interrupting that pattern of restricting what you're eating throughout the day. If you keep your blood sugar levels kind of at a baseline by eating every few hours and not allowing your blood sugar levels to drop significantly, that is kind of the first step to reducing binge eating because your body is not going to be in a deficit energetically. Also improving your interoceptive awareness, starting to tune into the signals that your body sends to your brain about what it needs, and then using that to help you yourself eat more regularly. Definitely do check out my last video on the 3 levels of food access with ADHD, because that is kind of probably the number one method for how I would recommend to start to eat more regularly with ADHD, just breaking it up into 3 different levels based on your capacity and energy and what your life is like in that day or that week. Anyways, I will say again that this is a really complex topic, and in this video, I just went over 2 aspects that can be contributing to binge eating that are pretty common in ADHD. This is not it by all means, but both of these things, being in like the binge or the restrict binge cycle by under eating and having difficulty recognizing the signals that your body sends to your brain. So the end of this video got cut off. I don't know what happened. It's only my third YouTube video. I'm still figuring it out. But I just wanted to say what I was saying in the end. I don't know why it got cut off. Is thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions or comments on this or anything, take it to the comments, because I can only say so much about this topic in 10 minutes. As I said multiple times in this video, it is a giant topic. There's so much to get into here. And in this video, I was only able to talk about 2 things that can be contributing to making binge eating a lot worse, that are quite common if you have ADHD. So yeah, definitely comment if anything was unclear, or if there's something you want to know more about, or if there's just a topic in general that you want me to make a video about. Let me know in the comments, because I love making videos responding to comments, just because I know there's someone out there on the other side, and it's a lot easier to speak to the camera when I know there's someone there wanting that information. Thanks again. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah.